welcome to Deep Talk with Sony Blaze, where we get to have deep into intellectual conversations with high-minded individuals right in the smoothest city in the world, Rochester, New York. I am your very natural host, Sony Blaze, and welcome to Deep Talk with Sony Blaze. Today on Deep Talk with Sony Blaze, we're talking about how do we build better habits. Right up next on Deep Talk with Sony Blaze, though, man. After this short intro. Welcome back to Deep Talk with Sony Blaze, where we get to have deep intellectual conversations with high-minded individuals right in the smoothest city in the world, Rochester, New York. I am your very natural host, Sony Blaze, and welcome back to Deep Talk with Sony Blaze. So, like I said before in the last two episodes, and I was going to do something a little different. We'll probably go back to the other format, but at least for now, I'm just gonna go just speak without breaking too much of the topics and whatsoever. But this time around, I do have my talking points because I actually do want to actually talk about something that I've been working on myself after this moment, and I'm starting slowly to actually picking back up and whatsoever. And that is, how do we build better habits and whatsoever? Now, before we get, deep into it, mainly, let's talk about what are habits. Now, I forgot to pull up the definition of it, and actually, since, this is mainly a podcast, this is not a straight, video and whatsoever. It don't have to be, very well. So I'm just going to pull it up real quick on, on my trusty Google. And that's the thing. If you want to go ahead and research something, Google is really quick. Just Google is really, really simple and quick. So let me hold on. What is habits? So habits is... Okay, so this is from dictionary.com. Habits are definition one. Habits, a settle or regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up. So that's from a quick Google search, and I looked it up. So mainly, with my perspective, what pretty much habits are is a set of systems that you do automatically that is hard to actually give up, and like I said before, but it's a system that is built to help you with your everyday life and whatsoever. And the thing about it is, when it comes down to it, habits are very important to basically, for our lives and whatsoever. I will actually get more into that a little later on the reason why habits are a good reason for us to actually live by. But when it comes down to it, that's what habits are. It's just a bio system within yourself that you pretty much practice or train every day, and it's at the point that it doesn't matter if you just want to sit there and give up on the day. You still end up doing it because it's a hard habit to give up. A good example of a habit or something like that is if you get up every morning to run. Even though, let's say, if you're sick on that day, you for some pair reason, you just get up and be like, oh, I gotta sit there and I gotta run. That's mainly what habits are. Other habits, it could be you just, getting up and taking a shit. I seen plenty of people who do that. You just, whenever, they sleep and then they get up, the first thing they do is take a shit. I know it's crazy. Or maybe, bad habits, or like maybe you lie a lot, or also, or maybe you tend to maybe chew on things that you shouldn't be chewing. Like there's many different habits for many different types of situation within your life. Another habit is, the habit of trying to actually make it on your own. That's actually a habit itself, or I should say, making money on your own or whatsoever. But habits are habits. Doesn't matter how small or how big it is or how wild it seems it is. Though mainly that's what it is, and mainly you probably see that within other people who goes out and they seem regular until they sit there and do that, and then you ask them, why do you do that? And then some of their answers would be like, I don't know, I just do, and then that's it. Now, um, now the thing is, you probably asking yourself, okay, we understand the point of habits, but why do we actually need habits for? Like, exactly why do we need habits? Well, the simplest answer for that, and the reason why we need habits is, well, is because it helps us to go through our lives. Without habit, we pretty much be just dead. I mean, there is no really simple answer with that, but when it comes down to, you have to think. Let's think about this in a mental standpoint. Like, like, let's say if one of your habits is you talking down on yourself, like mentally talking down on yourself, and since it's a habit, there it's hard for you to give it up. And think about, like, let's say from day one to day, you know, 100, and how that habit can affect you mentally and also, physically and whatsoever. But we work on the mental right now. Think about, like, if you sit there within your mind, and each and every time you sit there, let's say you make a mistake, you go in and be like, damn, man, I fucked up, man, blah, 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 and basically talk down on yourself. Now, maybe the first 3 days, you're all right, you still have the smile and whatsoever. But as you continue with that habit, more and more you sit there and continue to build that self-doubt. And eventually you're going to be at that point that you will not be able to do nothing because of that bad habit. And that's one way, and one way you can look at it, how habits affect our life. Another way, let's think about like physical means, and we just focus on the negatives right now because it's easier to understand, like, the effects. Let's say one of your habits is you always sit there, go to like a fast food restaurant and buy like 3 super-sized meals for yourself. And let's say you're just as my size right now, as for now, like if 1 through 100 days. Let's use that as the ruler. For 1 to 100 days, you sit there every day. You go to a fast food restaurant. You get 3 meals, supersized. The first few days, you're okay. Now, this is where it really starts to affect, because then, as you continue on, you'll probably see it, be like, you know what, I shouldn't be doing this. But since it's habits, you can't really, it's hard for you to give it up. So then, the next, few more days, you are down to day 50. You start to notice, a pudge, you start getting bigger, you start getting more sluggish and whatsoever, and you started to notice, health concern. But then, even though you started to notice that, with those habits, they're still, kicking in. And you can, while it gets to 100 days, guess what? Your whole health is tank. That's it. You barely can move. Your heart's having a very hard time. Your skin is just looking just so basically, when it comes down to it, habits helps regulate our lives. And as you can see with those examples and how they affect our lives, because let's think about, like, some good habits now. Let's say if you did that, you mentally, you you know gone, your health is gone, and you're pretty much at the end of your rope. Now, let's say you sat there and started doing starting actually using better habits and whatsoever. So let's say you actually start picking up the habit of self talk and self motivation and self discipline. With that, when you do it every day, there's going to be you let's let's go ahead and take a breather real quick. Now let's continue on. So let's say you had those good habits, self motivation, discipline, whatsoever. So let's say the first 10 days, there's going to be days that you're not going to fail. You're probably going to quit and whatsoever. But you know that it's good for you, and those habits, even though you probably missed a few days with those habits, eventually it's going to easily come back up. And then let's say from day 11 to 30, you're starting to notice that you begin to start to miss less days of you exercising. You starting to give more motivational talk to yourself, and you begin to actually do a lot more better for yourself. Then let's say basically down towards 31 to like 100. Let's just skip all the way to that. You're at the point that whenever any negative thoughts from from yourself or anybody else, at that fact that you begin to actually shut it down and sit there and give some uplifting words or inspiration. And then around those times, you be able to go ahead and walk past the same fast food restaurant without no issue, without no problem, because you at that point that you so disciplined that doesn't even cross your mind. So when it comes down to it, those habits really can affect your life in such a deeper way that it can actually change you from being like a sorry sack of shit. It's just a quick joke, but at a low standpoint into a higher state of mind and a higher state of living. But then vice versa, you can sit there with bad habits. You can come down from a very high place down to a low place and just feeling sorry for yourself. It can easily happen either way. I mean, it is what it is. Also, I want to actually start doing this as well too. If you're in the Rochester area, and also this is not sponsored, at least not yet. This is not sponsored. But if you want to go ahead and eat some good barbecue, or get some good pizza, because they got some good pizza over there. I tried over there. Go ahead and check out Turkey Town Eats in Rochester, New York, on Goodman Street. Go ahead and hit them by. And even though, like I said, I am not a sponsor, just say Stanley sent you, so they know. Like not Stanley, but Sony Blaze Deep Talk with Sony Blaze sent you. But anyways, they got good food. The services is really great. And also, if you don't have credits like regular credit card and whatsoever, they do accept Cash App. So you can go ahead, get what you need, get some good barbecue, get good food, and the environment is very, 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 very well, and just the vibes. I love the vibes. So go ahead and check them out real quick. But anyways, let's get back into the conversation about how to build better habits. Now, when it comes to habits, a good way to think of habits are as systems. That's the best way you can say habits are our system. Like computer system. You could say computer system, or just mainly a system, like basically a point A to B type of system. What it is. So, or somewhere around those lines. So to give a better example, think of it as like what would be a good way, good system that makes sense for it. I guess we could use computer systems and whatsoever. Let's think about it. Hmm. I wish I had thought about this a lot more, but it does. At the time of me writing this actually did make sense for me. But that's the best thing I could say is just think of it as systems. So we're just gonna move a little past that, and eventually it's gonna come to me a better way to actually think of systems. But you know what? Okay, let's think about like like okay, let's think about us. Yeah, if we're going to actually think about a computer system. Let's say a document program like you sitting there like in Word, like Microsoft Word or something like that. Like it's probably a good bad example, but it should work. Mainly when you go on to Microsoft Words, one of the things that you expect to do is go ahead and write a few things, like write a few sentences and whatsoever. And then as soon as you write a sentence, you save it. Once you save it as a Word document, and then bam, that's what it is. And it doesn't matter if it's like 20 years down the line, 1 year down the line, a few months, you will know that it's always going to be consistently that and will never really going to change. It's just going to be just like that. And that's what it's saying. You think of habits is like that as a system of something that if you do this, it's going to give that same type of result. So basically, think of it that way. You put something in, and it'd be the same type of result. So, like example for a habit, if you have the habit of of eating junk food, you sit there and you go out and you go to a restaurant, fast food, you eat junk food, and then since you have that bad habit, you will know that after that you're going to have some health problems. Like I said, that's a bad example of it, but and I did write this pretty quickly, but hopefully, not hopefully, y'all should get the gist of what I'm getting at. It's kind of just like how one of my old bosses say, it's just that you gotta put it here, there, and whatsoever. So, anyways, to continue on this as well too. Oh, the thing is, having habits is not singled out with humans. We're just human beings. Every living being within this planet Earth, within this universe, has a habit. I mean, there's pretty much stars and planets has habits. We're gonna go back to that a little later, but for now we're just gonna focus on the creatures of Earth. All living beings have habits. Cats have habits. Dogs have habits. Dolphins have habits. Sharks have habits. Snakes have habits. Birds have habits. All living beings have habits. So the thing about it is the difference. What's a good habit or a bad habit? And usually most animals are doing good habits. And what's our good habits? Basically, the habits that will continue their species and their way of life. Say for instance, cats. I mean, obviously, I don't know all animal habits. So let's think of simple ones. Or let's say a cat. A simple cat habit is that everybody should easily have taking care of the young, or sit there and not hunting for their own food, going out and actually whenever it's time for them to eat, if especially if it's wild cat, it will go out and use its five senses to smell some type of critter and whatsoever, a rat, a lizard, snake, whatsoever. Sit there, find that scent, and begin to hunt the then go ahead and have the kill their prey, and eat. That's a simple habit. Or another habit is, cleaning themselves off, using their tongues to clean themselves off and whatsoever. Those are habits. Even though it seems like it's just things that they do every day, but when you technically think about it, those are habits. And when it comes to bad habits, I really don't know what's considered bad habits because I don't study animals like that. I'm just giving just quick examples and whatsoever. But the only thing I can give good examples is stuff that I've seen and as myself, and just speaking for myself. And I'm getting a little mumbled with words. It's not like I have not been actually working on not been working on good habits myself. That's the reason why I'm here today, because I want to actually speak about it amongst other things. And as for me, what I have done to develop, good habits, because that's what I've been working on developing good habits for myself, is one, to be able to actually exercise. Because let's be real, I wasn't the greatest shape and whatsoever, especially a couple of years ago. I was a chunky butt. Oh yes, I was a chunky butt. So and amongst a few other habits like reading and whatsoever. And what had helped me get towards that point of creating better habits for myself and whatsoever. Because see, the thing is, what you're trying to actually break habits and make better habits, it's not as easy as just going up and just going to the gym every day just like that. I mean, it is that simple, but it's not that simple. Some people can easily do it. There are some people that can easily just get up, be like, yeah, I'm about to go to the gym, do it, and then just do it for straight, weeks on end, without no problem, without no issue, and just have like the discipline of of a goat, man. Like just in just crazy. Now, for at least 99% of us, it takes us a bit of time to actually do that. And as for me, what I have been learning and researching whenever it's come to developing good habits, one of the things I have done was create a habit tracker. Now, I wish I had the young individual, the brother that I got the video from, but I cannot remember it. If you miraculously was the one that just competent, but the way how he did it, he just wrote his down and whatsoever. But that's what I've done. I didn't write mine down. I, did it on the computer, and I sat there and every day. Once I go on the computer, I check the habit tracker. I mark what I've done and keep on pushing. And at least when I did that for a straight month, when I did that for a straight month, and did a lot of those habits, I'm got towards that point that those habits are pretty much crystallized within my being, and it's just like it got toward the point. I mean, it's not there yet, but it got to the point that it's hard for me to not at least not do it in one day. It's getting to that point now. I'm working on building a better habit when it comes to content creation, and actually just and working a lot harder for myself so I can sit there and monetize for myself. And you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and make that next week episode of the monetizing yourself and whatsoever, because that's something that I'm still working on as of this day, as we speak. But that's not for this episode. But yeah, that's how at this point of working on myself and building those good habits. Now, with that all said and done, you're probably asking, that's good, Sony Blaze. We got the gist of it. What's the importance of having habits and good habits or whatsoever. But how do we build good habits ourselves? Well, let me go ahead and explain right now. Just like how I said before, how I went up and helped myself, you could do the same thing. What you can do is you can go ahead, and one of the easiest ways that I find myself to do it, like this is one of the easiest ways, is to do a habit tracker. Sit there and just have that habit tracker and do it every day. Now, you can sit there and build a habit tracker on your own, or you can go ahead, because I do have a habit tracker. You can go to my gum road, and you can go ahead and download a printable habit tracker. You can go down on the description. You can go ahead and check that out. Go ahead and download that and do it on your own. I mean, do it that way and use that. It's customizable. You can sit there and do any month, any day, and whatsoever. And it has up towards 6 habits that you can actually try to apply. So, anyways, to get back to it, do a habit tracker, and you do it every day. Sit there and write down the habits that you want to go ahead and actually work on. Let's say if you want to exercise, you put exercise. If you want to sit there and go ahead and read more, you put read more. If you want to sit there and wake up early, wake up early. If you want to sit there and dress better for yourself, put that there. It's just, whatever habits that you want to build, you put on there. If you want to sit there, eat healthier, eat healthier, and just put that on part of the habit tracker. Then you sit there and write down the days, like today. Let's say if today is September 5th. Let's say that 9/5/2026 or something. As an example, and you start from there. And let's say you want to try to build a good habit for the next 30 days. So you sit there and go down 30 lines, and then you put, you start from February 5th, then 6, 7, blah, 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 until you make it up towards I believe, August 5th or something like that, or maybe August 4th, since it's 30 days, or y'all get the point. And then each and every day you sit there and, you get up, you do the habits, you mark it off. Now, that's a very, very, very simple way to actually make a habit tracker. But there are more, elaborate trackers that you can build. You can go ahead and search for it on YouTube, how to actually make a habit tracker. And like I said, if you don't want to actually do that, I do have a template. You can go ahead and download the template down below. But if you don't want to sit there and purchase one, I probably will do something eventually soon, like a mailing list, mail listing. So yeah, I'll probably do a mail listing soon. So, but anyways, we'll build something over there. But if you do want to actually purchase, the habit tracker template that I got, you can just go down the list. It's going to be right there. Now, after that, there's something I wanted to tell you when you get towards that point of building better habits and whatsoever. It's okay if you miss a few days, okay? It's fine that there are some days that you just can't do it, and some days you do. It's fine. This is not a race. This is not perfection. The thing about it is, when it comes down to it, especially you writing it down, you're doing it on your own pace, on your own speed. Because when it comes down to it, especially with Deep Talk with Sony Blaze and eventually a lot of my content, it's going to be about how to sit there and, teaching yourself and go with your own pace. Go with your own speed. That's it. Just go with your own speed. So, if you out there right now and you're trying to build good habits and whatsoever for yourself, and you're on that process, if you're on that process now, or you beginning that process, there's going to be days that you're not going to feel it. There's going to be days that you just cannot get up. And I will say this again, that is fine. That is okay. You're not Superman. You're not Wonder Woman. You're not Batman. What I'm saying is, you're not a superhuman. You're not like that amazing guy that's down the street. You're not. You're you. So take your time to actually build yourself up, because what you're doing is you are building your life, not theirs. Your life. Nothing more, nothing else. So, if you miss a few days, that's okay. If you miss a week, that's fine. As long as you truly don't give up. I'm gonna give you an example. There, there be times that I sit there and just stop for like weeks on end, a few weeks, and I just sit there and be like, basically feel sorry for myself and be like, But then eventually I kick back up and actually start working on myself. Because a lot of times we have people that tells us, you're supposed to do this and that and supposed to have this by the time you're here. That is so wrong. And I'm going to say it like this. The way how we live as human beings on this planet Earth is all wrong. It's all fucked up. So, especially if you feel it right here, it's okay though. It's okay. Just, take that break, take whatever how long you need to, but don't give up. Don't just, pick it back up. Once you're ready to pick it back up and go. I mean, that's the reason why I'm here today. I took me like a week break from Deep Talk with Sony Blaze. Now I'm back again. Now I'm slowly, and as for me, I'm slowly getting back into the groove of things. I'm not at a full operation yet for Deep Talk with Sony Blaze, but I'm there because I'm working on myself. And one of my goals is to be able to sit there and do Deep Talk with Sony Blaze just like that, and have episode coming out each and every week just like that. Because let's be real, because a lot of times we see a lot of people who's out there that could just do episodes or do things just like that every day. That's not me. That's not me. I could sit there, I could work hard at a project, be like, just really get into that project. But then after that, I'm done. I'm done for a little bit. That's how I work. But anyways, thank you for joining me on Deep Talk with Sony Blaze. Just a quick closer though, man. We was just talking about how to build better habits. What are habits? Pretty much those are like systems for the body. Why we need habits and how they affect our lives, and the thing about habits are it affects us in how we navigate life. Period. Whether we're going to be successful or we're just going to sit there and crash and burn. Now, a best way to think about habits are basically as systems. Even though I didn't have a great example for that, my bad. But we can think of it as systems and whatsoever. And the thing is, every living being within this planet Earth, within this universe, has habits. Whether it's good or bad, everything have habits. And as for me, I've been working on having better habits, because let's be real, I wasn't at the best of my life at those times. So I'm working on myself, and it's a ongoing process. And a best way to actually build better habits is using a habit tracker. And once again, if you do want to actually have a habit tracker and don't want to build one yourself and don't mind a template, I do have a template. You can go ahead down and you click down the link. You can go ahead and check the template out. And also, once again, don't be hard on yourself. It's okay if you miss a few days. Don't be too hard on yourself. We all do. I sure do. Miss a few days. So it's okay if there's a few days that you're not feeling it. It's fine. It's okay. Don't be hard on yourself. But anyways, thank you for joining me in my corner of the universe on Deep Talk with Sony Blaze. We'll see you next week. And next week we're going to talk about monetization. God damn it. Anyways, thank you for joining my corner.